Are you tired of joining a fantasy league every single year and not being able to keep any of your players? Well, a dynasty league might be the league for you, and let me explain why. I'm the fantasy hockey expert, and today I'm going to be going over my 2026 fantasy dynasty league that I just joined. The draft has taken place, and now it's time for season one to begin in October. Now, a dynasty league differs from a standard fantasy hockey league where once the season's over, the prize pool or the champ gets announced, and then the following season would be a brand new draft. So oftentimes when people talk about the first overall pick or the first round of a draft, you think about players like Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews, and so forth. But in a dynasty league, you are challenged to start looking at guys who are rookies. Great example being Gavin McKenna coming up. You're also challenged to look at bounce back candidates who may have been dropped the season before or may have just had decent seasons and not been kept by one of your league managers. So I'm going to be going over my Dynasty League draft. Since this is the first year of my draft, every single player was available off the board. It was a very deep draft and a very deep league I'm in. We have 14 teams. I'm really excited to show you guys this roster. So follow along the screen as I show you my forward lines, defense lines, and my three goalies. So this league that I joined is actually called a Roto League, also known as a Rotisserie League. If you haven't heard of it, that's okay. The goal of this league is basically to win as many categories as you can and get the quality of each category. So basically do as well in every single statistic that the league counts, meaning if your league has eight categories, you want to do as well as you can in all of those. And all of them matter because if you finish last place in a category such as blocked shots compared to the whole league, you'll be penalized. So you won't earn as many points as the guy who finishes fifth or second or first. Now, let's get into the fun stuff, the draft. So I was given the 11th pick out of 14 teams, and we took a snake draft approach, which means I had the 11th overall pick, but I also had the 18th overall pick because once the 14th place man went, he also was given the 15th pick, and it went backwards and so forth. Pick 11 of the draft, I was able to draft my guy, David Pastrnak. You may have seen my recent video where I had a Pastrnak shirt on. I wish I was wearing it, but unfortunately not today. Pastrnak is a shot machine and obviously an assist machine as well as a goal machine. He pretty much does it all. Can lay the body sometimes too when he is angry, and we know what angry pasta looks like. I followed that up with Quinn Hughes on the back end. PP1D for the Wild does share a lot of time with Brock Faber, sometimes on that top unit, but I mean, top 5 team in the league, it looks like. I had to go Quinn Hughes. He likes to shoot the puck. Again, the power play usage is great for Quinn Hughes, so was pretty happy with that. I should go over the categories with you guys quickly as well. The categories that our league uses is goals, assists, power play points, shots on goal, hits, blocks, and we have 5 goalie categories as well. So the goalie categories are huge. We have wins, goals against, save percentage, shutouts, and goals against average. So bunch of goalie categories, bunch of player categories. So it's really important that I'm not trying to tank in any of those categories, or I'm not forgetting about any of them. So I've brought up my first 2 picks, guys, Pastrnak and Hughes. At this point, I'm super happy, but then it got a little more challenging. So I ended up going Cutter Gauthier as my 3rd pick. And let me explain before you jump on a bit of a hate train here. Cutter Gauthier, guys, averages a top 10 shots per game rate in the NHL, and he has been on fire these playoffs. I've seen no slowdown from him. Not only can he shoot the puck, but he has great vision as well. If you watched that tying goal by, I believe it was Owen Zellweger last night. After I went with my guy Cutter Gauthier, I decided to go with Nico Hischier on center. And I didn't mention the category of face-off wins. I should have, because there are face-off wins in my league. Hischier's a stud on center. He will be PP1. He'll rotate with Hughes sometimes on that top line, obviously, but I have no concern there, and he's been pretty healthy in his career. So currently we're sitting at Gauthier, Hischier, Pasta, and then Quinn Hughes on the back end. After that, I believe my 5th round pick was JT Miller. Anybody who knows JT Miller probably knows it was a nasty, terrible year for the Rangers. Some people don't think he's captain worthy, but he puts up fantasy stats. Like, he is a GOAT in fantasy. I'm on the Miller train until I see differently, but when he was healthy, he did it. He did it all. He hits, he shoots, he blocks shots, he wins faceoffs. I love the guys who are dual eligible or tri eligible, and he was tri eligible. After that, I decided to draft. I believe I went with Karel Vejmelka here. So I took my first goalie in terms of volume. Now, with goalies, you're not able to just start more than like another team, but every start matters. I want to get the wins. I want to get the saves. Vejmelka was great this year, pretty consistent, and there's just not much competition behind him. So in terms of roster spots, I might not have to roster that many goalies, maybe 3, maybe 2, but he was a good pick. I'm happy with that, and I do think Utah makes the playoffs again next year. After that, I went with another center in Tomas Hertl. You know what? I think he is had a bit of a dip at the end of the year, but category guy, PP1 usually with Eichel, Marner, those guys. So kind of just does it all, consistent and not too old. After that, I went on to Mackenzie Weegar. Anyone who knows Weegar knows he is a stud with blocks and hits. So I was stoked there. Even on Utah, he's been racking up the soaks. So that was big. Now I go into McDavid's line mate, Zach Hyman. I was surprised he was here this late. He was injured for a bit this year, so people kind of forgot about him. But he's going to have 50-plus points. Likes to shoot. He'll usually be PP1, so I don't have a concern there. But his health is, I guess, the little concern if there is one. After that, I decided to go with Victor Hedman. Now, he was on IR at this time. He took a leave of absence. So another guy I think that just was forgotten about. At this point, I have 3 defensemen, kind of at my 6 forwards. So this is when I went into one of my favorite young players, Owen Tippett. I PC his hockey cards. I watched him since he played for the Mississauga Steelheads. And a little bit on Florida. Obviously, he wasn't there long, but a guy who shoots the puck, isn't afraid to hit, block. So again, the stats are not just in the point system, but I do think Tippett will have a good year with either Zegras or Martone next year. We'll see who he plays with, but I was happy there. Moving on to my second goalie, guys, Carter Hart. He's got to be Vegas's number 1 next year. I don't know. I don't think it's Aiden Hill, and I mean, it's not Akira Schmid. We know that. So I was really happy with Carter Hart there, and I decided I was pretty good in net. So I went with a defenseman. My 4th defenseman, guys, was Seth Jones. It's him or Ekblad on PP1, but like, you know what? He's a stud. There's a reason they traded for him from Chicago, and he took over that top unit. Again, he gets lots of ice time, gets the soaks, a lot of apples, power play points, shots. So I was surprised he was available too. That rounds up my top 4 defensemen. Now I went into a couple of the grittier guys. I went with Ryan McLeod as my 3rd center and Eli Tolvanen as my 3rd line winger. So just to read out my top 9 to you guys, I have Cutter Gauthier, Nico Hischier, David Pastrnak, Zach Hyman, Tomas Hertl, and JT Miller, Eli Tolvanen, Ryan McLeod, and Owen Tippett. And then my 4D so far were Quinn Hughes, Mackenzie Weegar, Victor Hedman, and Seth Jones. And then Vejmelka and Hart and net. So that's kind of like my, I would say, baseline. Then I kind of go into my the riskier picks that, you know, you kind of have to go for some potential. You're going to see a bit of potential here where I can drop a guy and pick up someone from waivers. I'm not too stressed. I'll go right into that now. So there was a player that I wasn't able to find on the hockey database that I've used, and that is Alexander Zarovsky. So if you've heard of this guy, he's a Habs prospect from the KHL. I believe he was a 1st rounder. He's supposed to make the team in maybe a year or 2, but you know what? He led up the KHL, so I don't have too many worries. Might end up dropping in because I'm not going to keep a guy that hasn't played at all. But that was my kind of NA spot, which we do have about 4 NA spots, meaning you can keep a guy and put him on your NA, and it doesn't really cost you a roster spot. So for the season, I don't mind keeping him. And now we go into our 6 bench guys, which I've drafted. And I guess that doesn't... Oh, and we have 3 utility guys as well. So 9 more picks. Let's see who we pick here and if you guys are guessing any of these guys. So on forward, Ryan Hartman of the Minnesota Wild. I think there's tons of potential for him to fit into that top 6. I don't see him going anywhere, but he kind of does get a couple face-off wins, a couple of the grittier categories, but he does shoot the puck a bit too. You know what, just kind of a consistent top 9 guy. There wasn't a ton left at this point because it was a 14-team draft, so it doesn't get too much deeper than this. I did go with Jeremy Lauzon of the Vegas Golden Knights because he is a big hitter. So if I'm struggling with the hits, he definitely is a guy I'm going to swap into my top 4. I also went with Yuri Kulich, who was out with a blood clot for pretty much the last 7 months. He's still out, so I see a lot of potential in Yuri Kulich. I've seen him shine at the World Juniors, and I mean, you know me with my Czech guys. I love pasta. I like hurdle, so hopefully Kulich turns out and can be a steal for me next year. If not McLeod, one of those guys maybe pops off. And a couple more picks. I'm going to read these off because it is getting a bit of a lengthier video. I have Dalibor Dvorsky, Kent Johnson, high pick from Michigan, Nikita Zadorov, Sam Dickinson, PP1 for the Sharks. What do you guys think? Jordan Binnington, who I think the Oilers could pick up, might be the starter next year if they pick him up. And I did mention Lauzon. And I think that is it for our roster, guys. So I want to say my steal was probably Carter Hart in net, guys. I drafted him pretty late. I also really like the pick of Seth Jones and Victor Hedman. They were late picks, but they're proven guys. I know it's a keeper league, but I can't keep everybody. So I would have to choose between my young guys anyway. So that's why I took some veterans. And yeah, I'm going to take a shot at this Roto League, guys, that I just joined. I've been in fantasy hockey for over a decade now, so make sure you guys follow me for more. I'll be doing live streams, Instagram giveaways, and collaborations with Dauber Hockey and much more. So shoot me a follow and let me know how I did on this Dynasty draft, and we'll see you next time.